Trapped behind enemy lines. Outnumbered 100 to 1. No backup, no escape. But they didn't plan on dying, they planned on making history. Dawn broke over the ridge of Sullivan, a remote gorge thought to be clear of hostiles. But the calm was a lie. 12 special operations soldiers were inserted for a recon op. What they didn't know, the enemy had baited the terrain with false intel. By the time they realized, it was too late. Enemy snipers on the ridges, RPGs in the trees, landmines flanking the only escape path. They were cut off, completely surrounded by over 1,200 insurgents. For command, it was already a loss. But these men, battle-scarred veterans, had other plans. They formed a circle, 12 guns, back-to-back, heart-to-heart. No one spoke of surrender. They had ammo, grit, and one unshakable promise. If this was where they died, they'd make it count. The Iron Circle was born, not by strategy, but by desperation turned into defiance. The first shot echoed like a death knell, and then the valley exploded. From every ridge and ravine, gunfire poured down like steel rain. The Iron Circle held formation, returning fire with surgical precision. Corporal Reyes took the northern point, taking down 3 hostiles with a single sweep. Sergeant Mendoza launched smoke grenades to blind the flanks, while bullets sliced the air inches from his head. The enemy was confident, sure that the small unit would panic. But they didn't know these men. Each had faced death a dozen times before. Every shot fired was measured, deadly. Ammo was precious. They made every round speak. Even as casualties mounted around them, they stayed locked in, eye to eye, back to back. This wasn't panic. This was poetry written in gunpowder. The enemy expected collapse. What they got was resistance so fierce it shocked even their commanders. As the firefight raged, a new nightmare entered the fray, an enemy gunship. The skies trembled as it unleashed hell, rockets screaming, machine guns tearing the trees apart. It was an executioner in the clouds, but the Iron Circle adapted fast. Using broken terrain and debris, they scattered just enough to avoid cluster hits, yet never left formation. Reyes fired a flare as a decoy. 2 seconds later, Mendoza launched an improvised anti-air rocket made from salvage gear. It missed, but it forced the gunship to rise. They kept firing. One bullet struck the tail rotor. It spun, screamed, crashed into the canyon wall like divine justice. The valley erupted in fire, smoke, and shock. The enemy saw their aerial hammer fall, and for the first time, they hesitated. 12 men, still standing, faces blackened, wounded but unbroken, had just brought down the sky. Night fell like a curtain, and with it came a siege. The enemy, humiliated by the day's loss, launched a wave of relentless assaults. Flanking charges, sniper fire, drones buzzing like insects overhead. The Iron Circle fought through fatigue, hunger, and bleeding wounds. Private Salonga, barely out of training, held the Western Gap alone for 2 hours, his arms shaking, lips reciting prayers between bursts of fire. They used traps, tripwires from broken comms, claymores scavenged from fallen foes. Each wave broke against the circle like ocean waves on jagged rock. Bodies stacked, ammo dwindled. Mendoza was hit twice, but refused morphine. "I die with a rifle, not a whisper," he growled. They had no support, no extraction. But as the rain soaked the valley, they looked at each other and knew this wasn't about survival anymore. This was legacy. Then came the fracture they never saw coming. One of their own, Lieutenant Carlo Dizon, wasn't who he claimed to be. Embedded months ago, he had fed the enemy every movement. Every comm, he'd orchestrated the trap, waiting for the moment of collapse. But the Iron Circle didn't break, and his cover slipped into confusion. Private Giro overheard a coded phrase, realized too late. Dizon drew a knife, slashing Giro's throat, then turned his weapon on Mendoza. But Reyes was faster. One shot, one betrayal ended. The men didn't speak of it. No time, no strength. But the wound of it ran deeper than any bullet. Trust shattered. Yet in that darkness, something hardened. The betrayal didn't kill them. It crystallized their purpose. They were Noel. By dawn, only 6 remained. The circle had shrunk, but their spirit had grown monstrous. Their eyes were hollow, focused, deadly. No more orders, no more ranks. Just survival and retribution. The enemy threw everything at them. Armored convoys, flamethrowers, war chants echoing through the valley. The last 6 didn't retreat. They advanced. Reyes, carrying Mendoza on his back, fired with one arm. Salonga mounted a ridge and threw his last grenade, blowing up an enemy truck. The noise was apocalyptic. Blood and dust blurred the world. One by one, the 12 fell, but not before each left a mark. A pile of bodies, a final bullet, a roar that echoed down the gorge. When silence returned, it was sacred. The Iron Circle, gone in form, immortal in fury. When reinforcements finally arrived, they expected a massacre. They got one, but not of the Iron Circle. Around a burned-out tree, over 300 enemy corpses formed a grim ring. Inside, the bodies of the 12 lay like kings fallen on their thrones. Each one had taken dozens with them. The final radio log was discovered. Mendoza's voice, rasping, tell them we never stopped fighting. Their story went viral. Statues rose in 3 nations. Every soldier now trains in the Iron Circle formation. Their families were their dog tags like sacred relics. Legends aren't born. They're made under fire, surrounded, bloodied, but not broken. 12 men entered hell, not to escape, but to make it their battlefield. And they did. If this story gripped your heart, share it. Let the world remember what courage truly means. Subscribe for more true legends of valor.